Hey everyone, this is Eric and Dan from Fountain Pen Geeks. We just finished getting ready our awesome review for the TWSBI Vac700, and as you may or may not know, prior to the review being finished, Dan and I don't talk about the pen. Well, we don't talk about it much. But today is the day that we got everything ready so we can talk about it, and we're just inviting you to sit here and listen to us argue about the pen. I don't think we're going to argue too much because we both kind of like it. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little warm today in Southern California. I guess we got to get that out of the way. It's warm in your neck of the woods too, right? Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I've got the AC cranked up.
Cool. So. What do you think of this pen? I'm going to guess, based on what I read in your portion of the review, that you are pretty much in love with this pen.
It's a fantastic pen. I really enjoyed it. It's going to stay inked. It's going to stay in my pen case, and a little asterisk is going to go next to it because I don't think it's going to ever leave it.
And is that because you like it so much or because it's never going to run out of ink? I've got 2 milliliters of ink in this thing, and as I said in the review, I don't think I have to ink it again until sometime early next year, because that will last me a very, very long time.
Yeah, one fill of this is going to last me a really long time, but also I just really like it, and I don't think I'll ever fill it that full again, just because I'll never use it, and I like to change colors.
I do like changing it. Well, I know I put a nice blue in this, and I'm going to have to look at the bottle just to be It's an Iroshizuku Tsukiyo is the blue I put in it. It looks very nice in my blue sapphire Vac700, so I don't think I have to switch it out. But generally, I do like to switch out inks. But when you have this much ink in a pen and you want to switch it out, I would have to put it back in the bottle.
Yeah.
If I've only got a few drops left, I just flush it. But this is a major investment.
So, let's talk a little bit about the packaging on this. Now, it was exactly the same as what we've seen with the Diamond 540. How do you feel about that?
I was perfectly happy with that. I really liked, and I still like the packaging for the 540. That they can use it again for the 700 is great. I call it Apple-esque. I think you actually said
very
that
much
first.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with the packaging. It wouldn't have surprised me or hurt my feelings if they had come out with something even more extraordinary, but I think they were working so long and diligently on the pen that they probably just said, oh, we'll use the same packaging. You were, a little disappointed?
Well, of course, I always like to see something new, and so I kind of, feel the same way about it as you do, but it's a Diamond Series pen, and I was, very much expecting this packaging, and I really like this packaging. So
I think what do you suppose they're going to do for the minis? Are they going to make little mini packaging of the exact same size?
I certainly hope so.
That would be
because
cool.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool. Well, what do you think of the filling system, Mr. Smith?
I love it. It's so great. The only other pen that I have with a vacuum filling system is a Schaefer OS Balance. And it's a vac filler. So to get something new and modern and something so affordable, only $85, I was really excited about it. And I did a lot of work checking out the filling system and the seals, and you can actually see that in one of my other videos I did. But the design behind the seals is just incredible. I mean, when you fill the pen and it's got half a barrel of ink in there and you pull it back, there's very little back pressure because of that design. Whereas if you go to the older pens like that Schaefer OS Balance, you can't just yank back on it because you could damage the seals either in the back or the disc that seals in the front. With this, there's certainly no cause for concern. I mean, they've done a great job with it.
They did a fantastic job, and your autopsy video, as I call it, showing the complete disassembly is amazing and really shows the craftsmanship that went into the pen. I really, really enjoy this particular filling system. In my review, I said that maybe if you pushed me, I'd even say that a vac filler is more of my favorite than a piston filler. I said maybe. Are you willing to take a stand on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I gave this a 9.25, and the only other filling system that was rated higher was Delta's piston. I gave it a 9.5, and that's because I think it's the best piston filler out there. But this, if you could get a full barrel of ink in an easier manner, it would have easily got a 10. Yeah. I mean, you got to practice a little bit to get that second and third stroke down without making a mess.
Yeah, well, like I say, if you stand on your head, it makes it a lot easier. But you'll have to read the review to get that. Now, what is the difference between this particular vacuum filling system and anything in a Parker Vacuumatic?
Completely different
completely
design.
different.
Yep, completely different. There's no rod or plunger or anything like that in the Vacuumatic. It actually uses a diaphragm, and we could get into a totally different conversation with that. So just know that they're two very different designs. There's nothing in common between the two.
We'll leave it at that then.
All right.
Where are we going next? If we're not going to be, we can't talk about that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about our test drive, our first experience with the pen.
Mine was great.
So was mine. Mine was excellent. I gave it a very high rating, 9.5 for me. And I think, like, for me, the test drive is very emotion filled. Emotion filled. It's a lot of reaction. You open the pen up for the first time, you ink it, you use it. My expectations for this pen were so high, and the Vac700 totally met all of them. I mean, no problems whatsoever. It was a complete joy to use for that first time, and so that's why it scored as well as it did for me.
Mine was great too. Now, I flushed my pen, as I do with all new pens, before I inked it. You didn't do that.
I never do it.
You never do it.
Nope,
And
straight out of the box into the bottle.
It was fine.
Oh yeah, it worked perfect.
That's very interesting. Because I'm just in the habit of doing that because I've had such poor luck with pens out of the box. That it is a habit with me, and that's the first thing I always do. So, I was wondering if that added to my very positive experience on the test drive. But apparently, you don't have to rinse it first, unless, of course, TWSBI rinsed yours before they sent it to you.
Yeah. Well, and I would still even recommend that for people, getting a brand new pen. I don't do it for reviews just because I want to see exactly how it performs out of the box.
Right, and that's a good thing to do, is to see how it performs out of the box, so you can tell people this is how it performs out of the box. But what I do is say, I don't care what the pen is, flush it as soon as you get it.
Right, and I would agree with that. But we're reviewing it. This is a way to test, if they're cleaning the pens after manufacture and things like that. So, what do you think of the nib on this?
I like the nib. I like it very well. First of all, I like the size of the nib.
Absolutely.
I especially like it if I hold it up next to a 540.
Yeah, the difference between that number 5 and that number 6 is just remarkable.
Especially when they're side by side. When you're just looking at it, you see it's a good size nib, but when you hold it next to a 540, it looks like, what are they going to use in the Mini? The same size of the number 5 from the 540?
I would hope so. I would hope they wouldn't go any smaller than a number 5, but you never know.
No.
Now, how smooth was your nib?
Extremely smooth.
And then you had a broad nib, right?
Nib, yes.
I got the fine, and it was really, I don't think I've had a fine nib this smooth out of the box for a while. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last pen I had that was this smooth.
Well, my fine, the Monteverde Invincia stylus that we did, I got the fine on that one, and it was extremely smooth. But I think you got the broad.
I got the stub.
You got the stub.
The factory stub.
Right, and I was surprised that you got a fine on the V700, as I'm calling it. You just wanted to try something different? What?
The fine nib is my daily nib.
Oh, okay.
I write a lot of cursive, and I like a fine nib for that.
And it's been writing fine for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're going to get into a little bit of the performance here. I noticed that right after the first fill, the feed is saturated, and the flow is a little bit more wet, which is very common with any fountain pen after you first fill it. But with most other fountain pens, I don't notice very much of a change in flow as I start using it. With this, once you use the ink in the feed and you have to crack the valve to get the ink in the barrel, I noticed a very drastic change. It would go from like a slightly wet to a fairly dry, almost so dry but not skipping kind of dry.
No, see, I don't remember any sort of a change, but I'm calling mine a slightly wet writer, which is actually my preference. After you've filled it those 3 times, did you wipe off the nib and feed? Or do you just use it like that?
No, I wipe it down.
You do wipe it down. But you still notice the difference in flow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't notice that. And I think I would have, even though it has been a little while since I filled a pen, I think I would have noticed. I had no noticeable change in flow. But you brought up you said crack the valve. You open the little valve if you're for longer writing sessions. Am I imagining it, or have people had trouble understanding the reasoning for this?
I think you'd be accurate to say that. People have had a little bit of trouble understanding it.
And do you like it, or do you dislike it?
Um, it's I don't know. I have kind of mixed feelings about it because, it's an extra step when you're writing. I mean, even if you do, multiple short sessions, you're still going to have to open the valve at one point to continue the ink flow. So it's just an extra step, but at the same time, it's a very nice feature to have.
I really, really like the feature. But I will tell you that most of the time I just keep it open.
Oh, do you?
Unless I know I'm going to get in a plane or go to the mountains or something, I just keep it open.
Yeah, you can certainly do that.
So that's how I get away with enjoying the feature without having it cause me an extra step. But I do like a shutoff valve, and I think I liked that because the first shutoff valve I came in contact with was on an eyedropper, a Danny Trio eyedropper, where it shut off, and if you wanted it to write, you had to exactly the same on the what I'm going to call a blind cap here. You had to open it up if you wanted any flow. So yes, I was already used to it, so I liked it.
I suppose if you really didn't like that feature, you could take that seal, that cone-shaped seal off the front, and so when you had it closed, it wouldn't really be closed.
I'm trying to remember now your autopsy video. That seal is completely separate from the seal that goes in the barrel itself, back
Correct.
and forth, and it's not integral to keeping it sealed on the downstroke or the upstroke, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain you could remove it without affecting anything else.
Well, that'll be our next video, right?
Right. You'll have to do that and test it.
But maybe we'll check
with
TWSBI first.
So, what are some of the design features of this pen other than the filling system that you liked or disliked?
Well, you know what I disliked, I'm sure.
The clip?
Well, actually, be more specific.
The look of the clip.
The look of the clip caught my attention right away, and not because I think it's so beautiful. I have tried to like this matte finish on it, and we got a very good explanation from Speedy at TWSBI as to why it is the way it is, and it's perfectly understandable, and so I try to like it, but it just sticks out to me in a way I don't like. I want it to be shiny. What do you think?
I do too. I would have preferred it to have been shiny, just like the 540. I mean, that's kind of one of the trademarks of the Diamond Series line is the chrome hardware, that shape of the clip. But I can live with the texture, and I think the overall design of the clip is worth it. It's a spring-loaded clip. There's a spring inside the cap. The clip is very strong. It's solid. And also, despite the strong tension it has, the design of the ramp on the clip allows you to clip it very easily. I mean, some clips have good tension, but the clip isn't designed very well. So if you're trying to use it with one hand, it's stretching your shirt, or you have to use two hands to clip it. You don't have to do that with this, and I really like that.
Right. Have you compared it side by side with the clip of a 540?
I have.
Does the clip on the 540 have a spring? Because it feels pretty much the same.
It's not an internal spring. It's just springy itself.
It's springy itself. And the ramp looks pretty much identical. So you have the same good working relationship with the 540 when you're trying to clip it onto something.
Right.
Yes, I like the clip on the 540 more than I like it on the 700, but it's not a deal breaker. Like I say in the review, I try to enjoy the clip more, telling myself that it almost matches the writing that's on the cap band. So there we go. I guess we have to talk about the section and the threads and I don't know if people will be able to see this, but we have pictures in the review. The threads are massive and the step is very steep.
Yeah, it's a big step from the section to the barrel, and those threads do get in the way. And even if you don't hold the pen back there, I mean, the section is still pretty thin compared to the overall size of this pen. So some people may not like that. This pen actually did affect my grip a little bit more than others because I do hold it at the end of the section and my thumb actually rests on the threads. So, during the road trip towards the end, it was starting to get to me a little bit. I'm not going to use this for long journaling or writing sessions. It'll definitely just be, quick notes and that's all.
Right, I had the same thing toward the end of the 21-minute road trip. My fingers were saying, okay, what's the deal here with these threads and this step? And my thumb, most especially, was saying, But none of my fingers wanted to stop. They were just telling me something's odd here, but they weren't complaining and screaming out in pain. So I can live with it. Why do you suppose, if you can see what I'm showing you, the barrel gets wider up to here, thinner down towards the turning knob and gets wider here? Was that necessary for some mechanism that's on the inside?
Yes. As you pushed it forward, when the seal is all the way at the top.
Oh, that's where it releases.
Right, and there needs to be space around that
Gotcha.
so the ink can flow and release the pressure. Now, if you look at Pilot's Custom 823, the barrel is actually the same width the entire length, but I'm not sure how big around it is the entire length either. So that's one way they get around it. TWSBI took a little different design route where it's a smaller diameter and then it gets bigger. I like the look of the pen on the outside. I love the look of it with it capped. Unfortunately in practice, using it's not the most not the most comfortable pen I've ever used.
Takes a little away from the aesthetics and comfort. And I think it's a little wide around the cap band area. But that is because they've had to make it wider there just for like you say, so that it can properly fill.
Right.
But I wonder what it would look like if they had just used that width all the way.
It'd be a massive
pretty
pen.
massive pen, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah, it'd be large.
All right, that's
no doubt.
That's next on their list then. You want to sum it up?
I think there's one more thing we should talk about.
And what would that be?
Posting it.
Oh, I can't post it. Absolutely cannot post it. I think your review said you liked it posted. It set better into your hand or something like that.
Yes, and okay, so I wrote with the 540 posted, and if anybody knows what the Levenger Plumpster is, I write with that posted. I like big, heavy pens, and I write with them posted. And I did the same thing with this. The cap does post. It posts securely, and I know TWSBI took it into consideration into their design because when you open the valve and you post it, there's still clearance between the filler knob and the inner cap.
Right.
So I know they took it into consideration. If they didn't, there'd be problems there. And it is going to be back heavy, but if you don't like that, you should look for a different pen.
Or don't post.
Or don't post.
See, I don't post. Generally speaking, I don't post. And that's, I believe what I said in the review was, it is postable. I don't care for it. It's too top heavy. So if you absolutely are a person who has to post, be sure you're also a person who likes a top heavy pen when posted. Like you.
Right.
You happen to like that top heaviness.
I do.
And there's no doubt it's top heavy when that cap is up there. But if you like that, then it's perfect for you. And I highly recommend the pen. If you, like I said, if you don't have a vacuum filler yet, then you should consider this pen. And even if you do have some vacuum fillers, you should consider this pen. But I'll ask you something that I confessed, or practically confessed in the review. Of the 3 TWSBIs that are currently available, is this your favorite?
I don't know. I just really, really, really like that Micarta. It'd be a toss-up between the two, but the 540 is definitely a solid third in my book.
Solid third.
Yeah.
Solid third. Now, see, I don't think I could decide between the 540 and the Micarta as top spot.
Ah. Well, you said you had a little bit of a emotional attachment to the 540.
I think that's what it is, because this pen is every bit as good as the 540. But there's a little emotional attachment to the 540, and the Micarta is just a different animal.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and I'd be very.
Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say I'd be very interested to hear what our listeners and our readers think as far as what their favorite TWSBI is.
Yeah, luckily, we don't have to decide. I'm going to keep all of mine.
Oh, of course, I will keep all of them.
And I'm waiting for the Mini. I'm really, really, really waiting for the Mini.
That is going to be a very cool pen.
And I think you're waiting for the 850, the middle one, right?
Yeah, we've got some good news coming out about that. Some very cool things going on with that. I cannot wait to get the final product.
Yeah.
So
I want the Mini first.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Indulge.